Okay, so what I'm going to do is explain, sort of give you a hypothetical case of how this might happen, how chronic pain might happen, and why it might appear to not have a clear cause. So, like I said, it's not just pain; it's everything else that's happening. I'll use this example first. If you have high cholesterol, you go to your doctor and he says, "Look, you've got high cholesterol." That didn't happen overnight. That's a series of life experiences and decisions, usually nutritional decisions, that leads to that point. It doesn't happen overnight. It grows and grows and grows, and you get to a point where you have high cholesterol and you want to treat that. And chronic pain is usually like that. Even when there is a clear injury point, a time at which you were injured, there was likely a build up to that point where you became susceptible to an injury. So maybe you were run down, and usually it's actually quite interesting. Is there's research in, I think it was secondary school or college athletes, and their injury rate increased at around the time of exams. And basically, what they inferred from that was, and the conclusion from that was, because of the excess stress around times of exams, they are more susceptible to injury because their body is more depleted, it's more run down, it's more on edge, and it's less adaptable. And so that's sort of a small idea of what's happening in these chronic pain issues, is that we have a lot of things just kind of get out of hand. And again, because we can always keep going, because we can always cope and we can always just kind of put it off, we we have this accumulated stuff and these accumulated stresses and challenges, and we get this breaking point, and the breaking point is I I slip a disc, or I spoke to a lady there recently, and she was talking about how, and this is really common, which is why I bring it up. She hurt her back and it required surgery, and basically she was doing nothing. She was doing nothing when it happened. She didn't do a big movement, a big sudden anything, but she moved very slightly, and then it seized up, and then she went to the hospital, and they're like, "Oh, this is going on. You need surgery," and all that. And so the point there is that it's not that her spine was that fragile that she can't move. It's that all of this stuff was happening leading up to this moment, and a sudden movement, or a movement that the brain was a bit unready for, was enough to create that tension and to create something to happen, to create a breaking point that seems far beyond the actual stress on the body. So essentially, this is what we're looking at. So, like I said, I'm going to give you a hypothetical case of pain. So you're an office worker. You develop chronic back pain. You're not an active person. You don't do sports. You've never had any injuries. You've never had any fractures in your life. You've never had any significant injuries. But now you've got back pain, and it's crippling, and you feel it all the time. So how does that happen? And you might be thinking, "Oh, I've got bad posture and all this, that, and the other," and that might only be a very small part of the puzzle. But again, hypothetically, you you go to college, your lifestyle gets less healthy, you're eating bad food, you're going out a lot, you're not sleeping that well, and then you're thrust into the big bad world, the real world, and you're going into a job that you're not prepared for, and you're stressed, and you're having to deal with that, and um, you're not sleeping at night, you're ordering takeaways, you're eating poorly, you're skipping breakfast, you're having your first meal as a coffee, a black coffee, and basically you have all these little unhealthy things adding up, and maybe you have relationship issues, maybe your long-term partner has broken up with you, if you've broken up with them, you're not getting along with your co-workers, you've got a long commute, maybe you don't like your job, maybe this is never what you wanted to do. And basically, it's sort of that simple. It's all of these little things that kind of add up, and they lead to tension in the body, and they lead to stress in the body. And your breathing is very shallow. You're unable to breathe fully into your belly. You breathe into your chest quite fast. You're always on edge, even though you don't think of yourself as being on edge, because this has happened so gradually that you just kind of take it as normal, and you just kind of take it as part of life. And then one day you maybe move a certain way, and your back is kind of stiff, and then you're sitting, and suddenly you've got back pain. It just kind of grows, and it's sore, and it doesn't really get any better, and it just kind of spirals. And then you get to a point then where every day you have back pain, and you've had back pain every day for the past few months, and it doesn't make any sense. And so this is early in the whole thing, and you might then go to a physio, you might go for a massage, you might go to your doctor, and your doctor might order an x-ray, and they might find nothing, or they might find something, and that something might not be actually related to your pain. Because I won't go into this in too much detail, but x-rays on MRIs are not very predictive of causes of pain, so we can't see a spine in an x-ray and predict whether pain will occur, and if we see damage on the spine, we can't say with any confidence that that's going to lead to pain. It's one of these really challenging things to understand, but that's what the evidence has shown repeatedly. So I won't go into it in much more detail, but point being is you might get a diagnosis, and it's quite likely that your doctor isn't up to date on the latest pain science research. They're a general practitioner, they deal with general things, and their approach to something like back pain is going to be take a couple of weeks off, and here are some painkillers, and if it doesn't get better, then maybe we go for surgery or something extreme like that. But the point being is you might go for all sorts of treatments, massage, physio, acupuncture, and they're going to have all sorts of reasons for why you're in pain. They're going to say, oh, your posture, and they'll sell you an expensive chair, or they'll give you orthotics, and they'll give you this, that, and the other, and they'll say that your meridians are out. Again, I'm not knocking these things necessarily. I'm just saying that they're looking at a very small window of what's going on, and they're not considering, well, how did your life get to a point where you just developed chronic crippling back pain out of nowhere?